Talk Radio, you're in to all things music.
This is Going to Get Loud, the working musician's ultimate guide to striking a new path through today's music industry. With your host, Paul Nicholas.
All right, welcome everybody. My name is Paul Nicholas. It's Going to Get Loud today on the show. I'm going to be talking with Don Barnes from 38 Special. Now, since the mid-'70s, 38 Special's released 15 records and sold over 20 million copies. We're going to be talking today about how the industry has changed over the last 40 years, but particularly with respect to traditional industry paradigm and the machinery like labels, distribution, promotions, and more. Don, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, good to be here, Paul. How's everybody out there in the online world?
I think they're doing all right, and they're excited to hear what you've got. So you just got off tour. You were just in the Southwest, correct?
Yeah, we still do about 100 cities a year after all these years. You know, the old adage, be careful what you wish for, You might be having to do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But you guys have been... Go ahead, sorry.
I was just to say, it's a good job to bring happiness to people still after all these years. So we're out there rolling around. Everybody, actually still likes each other after all these years. That's pretty rare,
Yeah, and that's actually an amazing thing. I spent some time with you guys just here and there, and it's amazing to see a band that actually gets along. I've been in a few, and after a little while on the road, it's not so much. But today I really wanted to, because you've been in the industry for such a long time, and you've seen it in its heyday. You've seen it through all these changes. And I think what a lot of emerging artists want to know is how you got your start and what you guys did to really stand out. And then in later shows, I'm going to tie into what's going on in the digital age and how things have changed. So basically, when you guys were getting started in the mid-'70s, how did you get your first shows and really establish yourself around town in those days?
Well, we were, played. First of all, we played in 15 other bands before 38 Special. We were competitive with the local guys, and Jacksonville, Florida was where the home of Southern rock. So you had a lot of activity there. It was a Navy town. I just want a brief history there, but it was 4 naval bases there that we all, as kids, we played sailors clubs. We played all these cover songs. Everybody from Dwayne Allman to Greg Allman, Ronnie Van Zant, Skinner, all those guys, we all played the sailors clubs at 15 years old, so you learn, you make $100 a week, big money back then for 15, and you learn the structures of songs, and it's a real craft, songwriting itself. So you learn the A section, the B section, the ramp that goes to the chorus, and the bridge and the outro and those kind of things. And you start seeing from the hits of the day that you see the payoff. You see how the excitement level, the graphs, if you will, whatever that works. And so you start. You do that for years. I'm just looking at a brief history of the youth, but then you get cocky and you say, "Well, I'm going to start writing my own songs," and that's when you go starve for 10 years. So it's always a backlash to that,
And that's my question. A lot of artists that are just getting their start, there's kind of a misconception that you're going to, what they think is grind it out for a year or two, write that one hit and then get there. How long were you guys basically in the clubs grinding it out before you hit that, work hockey level, we're going to go full throttle?
Well, we did, like I said, there were a lot of groups before 38 Special. Some of the weaker ones would fall on the wayside. I don't know if you're directing this as the demographic of band guys or solo songwriters, but we were always band guys. We always like to have a support group, and a band is that. It's basically a second family. And you've got guys that, you get down, one guy gets down, and it's like, this is not working. The other guy goes, oh, man, we'll stick it out. We can make it work. So you go through that, and the ones that the weaker ones fall along the wayside, and through our history, we pick up the good drummer from the other competitive band and say, hey, why don't you come over to our side here, and we're going to be really serious about this. And we were. We did. We would drive around at night. We had day jobs. We drive around at night, look for some shack to rehearse in, because you get cops call on you for playing too loud in somebody's garage somewhere. So you have to. What we did is we rented just a dilapidated building for $50 a month. It had no running water and a little electricity there. So we went through all that, but it all begins with an idea. And I have to say, there is a incredible amount of acceptance of failure at first, because nobody cares about you. Nobody has heard of you. They don't care whether you live or die. So you have to go and make people hear you. And you write, I've always said before, you write 500 songs. You might publish 50, but you have to go through the exercise from A to Z and have the inspiration and the fortitude to hang in there. And then once it's done, a song that you might think is going to bust the world wide open, you have to be brutally honest with each other and say, is this an A song, or is it a B song, or is it a C song, whatever. So we were always trying to keep the standards so high that we would and it hurt some feelings sometimes, because some guy had a great idea, thought it was great, but you had to be diplomatic and democratic in a group structure like that. So we started out, and most people think, like Hold On Loosely, for instance, that people think that was our first album. That was actually our fourth album. And to answer your question about playing clubs, we played years and years of opening for other groups, or just playing some dirt floor clubs in North Carolina, and getting Pilot in the band and a dirty mattress in the back, driving 400 miles to another place. It's a crappy club, whatever. But that's paying the dues. That's the part that I don't want to be discouraging to your listeners out there. But there is an incredible amount of acceptance of failure first. You have to accept the failure first, and say, and pick yourself up and dust yourself off and say, that's okay. I think we still have it. I think we still, if we write better songs, if we stay together and be a tight-knit group, we can get somewhere. But like I said, that Hold On Listen was the fourth album. We had gone through 3 full albums. I'm jumping around here, but I guess I probably should go earlier back. When you get to a point where you actually are being courted for a record deal, you think you made it. You think you're getting a contract. Well, that's nowhere really. That's just the beginning. That's just somebody saying, we're going to try you out and see if you can play in the big leagues. We'll see if you can handle it and come out with some, lack of a better word, product, because it is that. And it's something that people need to sell. A record company is basically selling units of anything. Whether it's vacuum cleaners or whatever, that's a unit that they want to get out, and they use radio as their medium, and then, of course, online things as a medium. But they're in the business not for the joy of the music on their side. You're in the business for the joy of camaraderie, songwriting, and the passion for the music. And the things that move you, in the quietest moment, you can put headphones on, hear something you created. Go, wow, it's great. Wait till everybody hears that. Well, again, you get to the point where I'm sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
No, I was just going to jump right in there and say one of the reoccurring themes of what we're talking about here on the show is about how musicians have to understand that what they're doing is a business. And so you touched on that multiple times, saying, look, for them, it's all about units. For you, it's about the passion. That's how you excite your fans. That's great.
That's
but
right.
Like you said, we have to look at this as a business and, try to take yourself out of it. Yeah, some people's feelings might get hurt. We get that it's your artistic passion, but it's really important for people to truly understand that, yes, this is a business and you do have to approach it that way. And I think that whether, a startup technology company, a band, or anything else, it is a business first, and you're an artist second. Do you agree with that?
No, yeah, I do, absolutely. Every word of it. I'll tell you, there's different tiers of the music business. Now, if you aren't married to the fact that you're going to be in business and you're going to have contractual obligations, they're going to say, well, your contract, we need 6 months from now, we need another album, you guys. And you have no idea of one single note for another album, but you're contractually obligated to have something, a full, CD. In my time, I say CD. Nowadays, people do release one song or whatever online. But back then, it was those kind of things where, like, for instance, Caught Up in You is still played today. That was at a time I was dating this girl, and I needed to get to work because I had no idea of anything. And I said, I just can't get any work, and I'm just so caught up in you all the time. And it was like just a simple little, your antenna as a songwriter, your antenna has to be out all the time. There are certain little phrases used. There's another song called Back Where You Belong. Simple little phrase, I want you back where you belong. That works musically. And so the antenna is always out there. And so if you bring the antenna in, you're not going to be receptive to those kind of things. So, back to the fact that you write so many songs and let's back to the different tiers of music. Now I'll tell you, if you want to have fun, you can have passion, and you can play some cover songs and play some of your own songs, and you'll have a group of guys. First of all, start out on the weekend, play in clubs, have fun doing that, and make some money. But when you've got to be critically thinking about, if you're going to eat from this, if you're going to pay your bills, you've got to learn to accept a lot of suffering. I guess I don't mean to be discouraging, but there is an amount of overcoming that. And at our point, we wanted it so bad. We wanted it so bad. We were so stubborn that we wouldn't quit. And people around you are saying, "Oh, you need to quit. Look, you've already failed several times." Yep. Even the record company was saying, "I don't know. We gave you a 2-album deal, and and somewhere in A&M Records, I have to say, we signed with them because they were more artist oriented. You and I, Paul, talked personally before about how the fact that you want to get with somebody who does have patience for you to grow and develop. And you have to find your own voice and your own sound and all those things. And if you've got a record company that's just throwing it against the wall and see whatever sticks, they're not caring about your growth. So A&M Records was a perfect catalyst for that. We were courted by Epic Records, CBS, and other ones, but we felt like they had a great A&R department. If your listeners don't, that means artists and repertoire. That's people who are going to give you a chance, maybe give you a little coaching here and there. Hey, why don't you do this? Or let's put hand claps on this, whatever. But you're receptive to outside opinion. And right at that point, let me just stop you. I was the most stubborn guy that ever came down the pike, and I had my own ways of doing it, and no one was going to tell me how to change a song or take this thing and rip it out and to take another, glue this thing together and rearrange and do all this. I heard it one way, and that's the way I was going to do it. Well, that's the wrong way, because that's the wrong way to be. Because I was sat down with a big top professionals back then, with Edgar Winter and some of the other people that were around. They said, you've got talent, you've got passion, you've got the conviction, everything, but you've got to learn that are going to be people that want to help you, and they want to feel like they're on your team also. Yeah. So they want to be part of your project. And if you let them in and live with their idea for a minute, it might be better. And sure enough, I was told that was the best advice I could ever have. I thought, okay, take my songs and cut them up, rip them, to change this around, to put a whole new chorus. We worked with Dan Hartman from Edgar Winter Group in the early days. And he put a whole new chorus in the song. I thought, what am I doing? Well, 2 days later, I said, that's not bad. That's actually something I hadn't thought of. And so once you start opening your mind up and creatively and letting somebody else come in and kind of mold it a little bit, then they feel they're responsible a little bit too. They're on your team. The more people on your team, the more you can move forward one baby step at a time. But you need that team back in the record companies, artists and repertoire and everything. So it's one of those things that it's the hardest hurdle to get over, because a lot of musicians are stubborn as hell. You know that.
Yeah. it's always the fine line between being stubborn and being true to your passion and your conviction and not letting people derail you from that, but also letting in other folks. And I mean, exactly what you were saying right there. I felt the same way. I have ownership of this product. This is, my record, my song. Nobody hears it like me, but then you bring in the right producer who says, you know what, why don't you try this? And when you open it up, it's like, whoa, okay, you just completely changed the song in such an amazing way. I hadn't even thought of why wasn't I doing this earlier? And that's going to be a theme that we touch on later as well, is basically changing the way that emerging artists think about themselves, their craft, and their music, and understanding that collaboration's not a dirty word; it's a good thing. And
it's funny you say that. First of all, the fact that you're being stubborn and because you've only heard your song over and over 100 times, you can't hear anything else in there because you've ingrained it in your brain. That's the way it goes, and that's where the B section or the ramp goes up. That's where I hear it. Somebody else says, let's take that little ramp part out. Let's make an instrumental area that lifts it there or something, artistically. It's like painting on a canvas. You can throw the whole kitchen sink in there. These painters that spend so many years on the tiny leaves on the trees, and then there are artists that have one broad brushstroke that says so much. So the simplicity is the beauty. The beauty is in the simplicity of it. So if you're
one thing I learned, less is more, and I'm
less is more. That's right.
I think that the more you go as an artist in anything, whether you're writer, painter, poet, musician, I think that you always start that way. You think more is more, and in the end, it's just like strip out, redo the lyrics. Less is more. Strip out the instrumentation. What really needs to live in that space, and what could we really let go?
We did exactly that, Paul. We put everything in there because we were pretty accomplished guitar players. We, had our own arrogance about, blowing the other guys away in town and all that. And we can overdub and layer all this stuff. And then you realize you strip it all away. And one guitar, it's a Pete Townsend kind of attitude. One guitar turned up really loud and a great tone and a great attitude will carry the whole song if you just let it breathe a little bit. If you layer 3 or 4 guitars, well, you lost that original passion, that attitude. That's the word, the attitude of it. And you mentioned collaboration. We used to call ourselves songwriters. None of us call ourselves songwriters anymore. We are great collaborators. That's perfect way to look at it. I don't want to cut you off there, Don. We're going to go to a quick break in a couple of seconds, but when we come back, I really want to, so much great information there. I want to talk a little bit more about when you were thinking about breaking the industry. Really want to find out for you, what were your thoughts about how you were going to break into it versus what actually happened? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, simply because there's a lot of musicians out there that think they know what's going to happen as they get to each rung, but I'm sure, as you would probably tell the listener, it's completely different when it happens to you, and everything is different, and to probably be prepared for it and hang on by the seat of your pants.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big? Experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hey, it's Tracy Smith.
And Beth Venus
of Girls Talk Rock, right here on the Inner Talk Radio Network.
Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
SDP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, and sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all that. SilverTigerProduction.com.
This is going to get loud. The working musician's ultimate guide to striking a new path through today's music industry. With your host, Paul Nicholas.
All right, folks, we are back with legendary singer and guitar player from 38 Special, Mr. Don Barnes. And so for those of you tuning in, we just were talking with Don in the last segment about his start and how things really got moving. And so, Don, before the break, I was saying, how did you guys think you were going to break into the industry, and how did it actually happen? What was the expectation versus reality?
When you start out, first of all, it starts with a dream, an idea. You want to make it big. You see it out there, and other people are doing it. And I'll tell you, any success that you see out there, you're seeing about 5% of what worked for them. There's 95% of it that was behind the scenes, that there were songs they threw out that just didn't seem to see the light of day. So if there's, again, I hate to sound discouraging, but it's a lot of behind the scenes work. It's business. If it was, we all know this. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right? I mean, everybody would be doing it. And it's one of the most difficult things to do. But I do know, I don't want to discount people and guys out there, women that have real passion with great song ideas and all. The way we started out, we thought there's a fine line between humility and also you have to believe that you're the best thing that ever came down the pipe. Best man in the world.
Right?
Yeah. You have to have that confidence, because I've had kids come up to me that they play guitar. I said, really? You any good? Well, I'm okay, I guess. Man, you got to say, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, let me show you what I can do. You have to have that attitude. At the same time, this business will humble you greatly, because it's not easy, and it will it'll put you right back on your heels when you think that, I'm going to bust the world wide open. Wait till they get a load of this, what we recorded here. Wait till they get a load of this. Well, we did that, and the first album, right over the cliff. Shelf life about 6 weeks. And we worked really hard, and we had, radio guys. This is after a record deal and everything. We had radio guys, independent guys on it. And they tried, but it just wasn't there. We didn't find our voice until 4 albums later. Second album, oh man, wait till they hear this. We've improved since the first one. We've got it together now. The shelf life of another 6 weeks. So it's a frustrating thing, and it's you have to keep trying to find what does it take to crack the door at radio. There's only 24 hours in a day, and radio has programming lists, and everybody's trying to vie for their space in that 24 hours to get my song. I want you to play my song. You got independent promoters, they're talking them up and all this, but it's only 24 hours a day. A lot of it's commercials and things, but they can't play everything. So you have to have something that's got a hook, something that catches the ear right away. There is so much I could tell you. I could elaborate on our first foray into. We went to KMET out in L.A. there, the huge trendsetter. A trendsetter radio station means that all the other radio stations are looking at what they're playing, and they'll put it on their station because KMET was a big trendsetter. So I went out there with my manager, and we had an acetate pressing Hold On Loosely, and we were trying to please just crack the door a little bit. Let us get on the radio. we had done Rockin' to the Night, was kind of a regional hit. That was the third album. It opened the door a little bit, but wasn't much success to it. But we went out there, and there's a guy in this big high-rise office overlooking L.A., and we're totally intimidated. Glass office corner, and he's got the this, of course, back in my day, the turntable there in his office. We're nervous, and my manager's talking, took a meeting with him, and they put the acetate on it, and with and he sat there and kind of nodded his head, and we're thinking, please. And he got to the chorus, hold on loosely, and he went, oh, yeah, we'll play that. That's the first thing he said. And it was like we were a huge weight lifted off your shoulders, because if they play it, then that means there's 50 other radio stations that will say, K-Met's playing it, so we're going to go on this. They're trendsetters, so we're following the trend that they're displaying. So that's the kind of thing. When that was many years down the line, even the writing of Hold On Loose, I wrote with Jim Peterick, a band Survivor. He wrote Eye of the Tiger. Number one song around the world. Major talent. This guy's got a radio in his head. I swear. You get around this guy, and he's spitting out ideas. And we used to talk about relationship-oriented songs. So you could kind of tell our songs were all about relationship things. And we knew from Ronnie Van Zant's input to us that not to be a clone of somebody else, whatever's happening around you.
That is
Southern rock.
Do it any time. Maybe now more than ever, because so much has been. That's right. He said, it had been done, Allman Brothers or Leonard Skinner or whatever, it had been done by the best, and we were basically, our first album was a rehash of all that. And he said, don't try to be a clone of what's come before you. Try to find your own truth and your own influences from what you grew up and what really moved you, what lifted you up, lifted your heart up, or whatever that affected you. And if you really follow that. And we were big British Invasion fans. It had more melody. We always call our music muscle and melody. You got the good, strong guitars in your face kind of attitude, and you got a good story and a good melody that goes over it. And it's a simple formula, but it's the hardest thing to find, a formula that radio likes and everybody, listeners like, and all that stuff. And that's still
but with Jim's
passion in your vision.
And I don't want people to say, oh, this is all just commercialism. Well, you got to bend a little bit. You can say, I'm not going to ever be commercial, but if you're never going to be commercial, you're never going to really eat from it. You got to be able to get out there and get on the radio. You get on TV shows. MTV back then was a great catalyst for us. But back to songwriting, collaboration, Jim Peterick, I sat and he said, so how you been? And I said, well, I had a marriage I was going through back then. It was, not working out. And I said, what is it about people that just can't celebrate their differences? They just can't seem, they want to change the other person. They want to keep that person under the thumb because of their own insecurities and all these things. And I had a little notebook of titles of the little things, you probably do it too, Paul, the titles.
Oh,
just,
yeah.
Bits and pieces, and I had a title written down. I said, what do you think about this title, Hold On Loosely? And he said, oh, yeah, but don't let go. That's the first thing that came out of his mouth. And that was the perfect couplet, perfect bookend to start at an inception, a seed. And I had a little guitar riff and all that, but then you develop it, and of course, songwriting is going to be turned inside out. You're going to edit this or throw this part away, and you twist this up and down. And before anybody ever hears it, it's gone through the mill. But you're trying to keep simple and keep the beauty in the simplicity the whole time. But that's the inception of that song was oh yeah, but don't let go. I thought, oh man, because I had this title, but I didn't have that part, and that collaboration effect right there started the ball rolling. So.
Yeah, that's a huge thing to get outside of your head and be not only welcome to that, but it's as simple. I always think of that that scene in that movie Dead Poet Society where he says, get on your desk. Okay, now you're seeing things from a different view. But same thing when you bring in a producer, a songwriter, other instrumentalists, you're seeing things from just same room but different angle, and suddenly can blow open your whole field of vision, and you can take the song in a direction that's so amazing you didn't even know existed. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you, going back to something you said, several minutes ago, you've been talking a lot about overcoming adversity and that being kind of a hallmark of what makes somebody successful, which I totally agree, whether you're in politics, business, art, whatever. So let me ask you this. So how did you come back after maybe, a bad show or a big setback? How did you, because that's something that, young emerging artists, they're going to see time and time again. How did you push through? What were the things that you did to overcome and just keep pushing forward?
Well, that's kind of a tough question. You kind of beat yourself up. Yeah, you do have setbacks all the time. You beat yourself up. You've got to have.
Well, let me back up and say, how did you do that in a healthy, constructive way?
It becomes. That's why I'm a band guy. It's a support group around you. I mean, you don't have to be in a band, but if you have people who believe in you, of course, in my case, there's a lot of people believing. They were saying, you're kind of chasing after a dream. Why don't you get a real job and all those things. But that band situation was a little bit more of a family where if you're friends and you pick each other up and you lift each other up, and somebody says, even songs that didn't work, well, there was a really good part in the middle that was really good. And, you try to find the positive elements of it. If you try to find anything positive to hang on that part, at least it's all not lost. All is not lost. You have to say, well, that was a great chorus of that song, but maybe this verses weren't right or this or that. But, I can come up with some good ideas. So you hang on to the positive. And it might be thread, the hair thin, but you're hanging on to just the parts that says, wait a minute now, I'm not totally wrong at doing this. And I do have that to drive to succeed and have the conviction and the passion. And, hey, I'll dust myself off and just try again. That old thing about first you don't succeed, try it again. You might be way down the line, but the only ones that ever did get through is because they picked themselves up and tried numerous times. And so you have to hang on to the positive part. Even if it's a guy like, this is a great groove drummer. We've got a groove drummer. That guy is unbeatable. Anything positive you can say, that guy's a good singer, he's got a good voice. We just need to find the right thing for him. And so I'm just trying to be introspective here and find what is it that did keep us going. Was just that
having that support network of people that were no BS. They were going to tell you what it is, but also look for the positive things that are going to help move things forward. And I think that being in a band myself, again, certainly not at the level you guys ever were, but I've seen the same things, and I've also done the solo thing for a long time. And if you're a solo or you're a duo or something like that, you don't have a band there to pick you up, but you do have friends and family, other people in the industry that I think that it's important to have an honest conversation with them and constructive criticism to keep that going and say, and like you said, I think it's the hardest thing as an artist to be brutally honest, because artists inherently take any criticism as a personal attack. You're attacking me. If you attack my art, you're attacking me. And I think that that's probably not the most constructive way to look at it. Would you agree?
Well, artists are by nature very sensitive. We're all sensitive to all that. That's why you're creative, because it's the left side of the brain, right side thing. Some people are great at accounting, numbers, but creativity is something that's very insecure. And so when you go and write a song, we all, even to this day, I will go and say, I got this little ditty here. I don't know if it's any good, but I've been kind of throwing it around over and over in my mind. I don't even know what to go with it. I give all these excuses before they've heard it. I'm sure you've done that, Paul. But you give all these excuses, and somebody says, stop with all the excuses. Let me just hear what you got. And you think, okay, it goes like this. And you play a little bit of it, and it takes one person to go, that's not too bad. We can probably work with that. All of a sudden, you're validated. All of a sudden, you feel confident that, hey, I haven't lost the touch. I am a songwriter. I am a collaborator. So it's because it's such an insecure feeling that you have a little thing that you don't know if it's good. You just kind of you feel like it could be something, but it's like I said, it takes one other person to say, even if you're silly, if you put something silly in there in the middle of a song, and they go, yeah, everybody laughs about it, but that's not a bad idea. We could remold that little silly part and make it into something valid. And so you think, well, that's just throwing ideas out, just like anything. Television writers, movie writers, they throw ideas out. A lot of them don't work, but somebody might say, we can build on that a little bit and we can take it this way. So, like I said, the most insecure thing in the world to create something from nothing, to absolutely a blank sheet of paper, and to say, when I'm done, this whole thing's going to be filled. The lyrics going to be filled. That's another thing, too. Of all people, Tom T. Hall, country singer years ago, it was the most informative bit of advice. And he said, if you were riding around in a car and you didn't know your destination, well, you'd just be aimlessly driving around. He said, so when you're writing a song, you've got to know where you're going. You got to know your destination. So he said, we write songs from inside out. He said, we write from the element, the peak, the title, whatever, the sentiment, whatever you're trying to say, right from there and come backwards. And you go out. And it said, if you can put 4 lines for a verse, lines, I mean, literally penciled lines, like ruler lines. Okay, you got line 3. It really sings well right here. This part right here, this third line, I've got this. All the rest of it's phonetics and humming and talking, or whatever. But you got that third line. Okay, so I need to rhyme that, so I'll write backwards into that line. So if there's a good title, you want to have maybe a rhyme that rhymes that the title is going to rhyme to. So you write it's like the map from inside out. If you've got the destination, then you're halfway there, because now you just write the road map to that destination. So that was a good piece of advice as a songwriter. Yeah.
5-10 years later, that's how I ended up actually writing my own songs, starting with that one core central idea. What's the one thing, the one feeling, the one sentiment, the one emotion you want to get across to the listeners? If you can make an impact with that, whether it's the chorus, pre-chorus, the end of the verse, whatever, you can build off of that. But you can have the greatest verse in the world, and if it builds into a not so great chorus and the rest of the song is so, you're going to have kind of a bit of a hard time there.
You're going to have a B or a C song. You're not going to have an A song. Another thing too I wanted to add is that you have to put truth in music, truth in songs. Anybody can contrive, ooh, baby, I miss you, I need you. Anybody can do that. But if you notice, our songs were all about real life experience. Hold On Lucy was about a bad marriage. Out of something that came, a negative thing, was a good positive piece of advice that is still played today, and people recognize it, and they go, that sounds kind of like me and my wife here. That we need to relax our relationship here a little bit. So that's the truth. When you
in the next segment, Don Barnes.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Girls are talking rock again.
And people are listening.
Today we're talking bands.
Let's talk promotion. Red Giant Promo, graphics, EPKs, video, photos, social media, and brand building using content marketing.
But let's talk studio at CCMA, which is events, rehearsal, tour prep, piano, guitar, voice, rock band, lessons, workshops, and clinics. Yeah!
Both proud sponsors of Girls Talk Rock.
Well, get the lowdown on these services and contact me, Tracy, at girlstalkrock.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is going to get loud. The working musician's ultimate guide to striking a new path through today's music industry. With your host, Paul Nicholas.
Welcome back, everybody. Again, we have the legendary singer and guitar player from 38 Special, Mr. John Barnes, with us. He's been giving us some great insights into how he got started. Don, I want to change tack a little bit and ask you, in a broad stroke, how have you seen the industry change in your 40 years with respect to basically kind of the old school industry paradigm? How has the role of labels and other traditional, industry machinery changed?
It's exponentially. It's been, it started out years ago where you had a record company that had tour support. Actually had money that could support you on tour, and it's gone with the way of the dinosaurs. But we started out being going on at 7:00 at night. This is after, of course, all the clubs and everything else, doing that in between. But we'd get on a tour, and you'd go on at 7:00 at night, and it'd be in a theater or something. It'd be 200 people in there. That place holds 4,000 or 5,000. Well, again, you got to play to those 200 people. You never know who's out there. Every time you play anywhere, you never know who's sitting out there. I've sat out in club bands that were just goofing off and doing shots and just doing all that. I'm sitting there listening to them. They don't realize that I'm sitting out there. They never knew, So, and I've also walked up to other groups, played in clubs, and introduced myself and say, "That was great. You guys play with real conviction, and you really are going after it. You're taking it to them, So that was all back then. But we played to 200 people, and that was a bit of advice that we got from Ronnie Van Zant from Skinner back with the tragic plane crash and all that in '77. We lost a mentor, and we had to pick ourselves up and do it and remember what he had told us. Never go on and screwing around on stage and doing that, because again, you never know who's listening to them. And for instance, Skinner, they would play in these clubs in Atlanta, and they are always 110% tight machine, and they played to 50 people out there. Well, one night, Al Cooper, legendary guy, producer, blood, sweat, and tears, he's sitting out there in the dark. They didn't know he was out there, and he went up and said, "I'd like to record you guys. I want to see what we can do." And he took them in the studio. So again, always be 110%. Keep your standards high in that sense. Now, back to your question, the record business, has really morphed into a lot of different ways. A lot of the brick and mortar buildings are gone. They've all conglomerated into, Universal Music, a big umbrella company that has all these companies. So they're also have taken some hits because they suffer from the fact that, that people are with iTunes or these streaming services, that people only want to hear one song. And that's what I'm going to say, is that you can, these days, it's a live business. It's a live business. We saw the writing on the wall 20 years ago that you out there.
I'm going to play that on repeat, because that's what I've been preaching for the last 10 years. It is a live business. And that's, I guess, the thing that we've been saying forever, is that, back when you started, it was still a live business. Now, you were selling tons of units and, this kind of thing. But with the demise of the old industry machinery, the distribution channels, all of these things, these deals, that the artist development deals and all this kind of thing, it's back to being a live business with the internet being saturated. And so you guys are still currently touring because, like you said, you saw the writing on the wall. So now that, you guys have been doing this the whole time and very, very successfully, can you tell the folks about how you currently tour? Is it more of a do-it-yourself model?
Yeah, well, just to elaborate on what you're saying, you have to change with times, and it is a live business. And before, your live show was basically a commercial for your record, and that was where your main source of income was pretty much the record sales. Well, all that's reversed now. Your record sales are secondary. Your live shows are the primary source of income. But in this day and age, you're better off putting a song on YouTube or stream services, and because of this one thing, the more ears that are on your music, the more you might get, you can't download a live show. So if you make a fan, the more ears, it's just like the movies, put things out, the more eyes on something that they're going to tell a friend. They hear you coming to town, or they're playing a club, whatever. They'll come buy a ticket, come buy maybe a T-shirt or whatever. But all that transfers into fan base. And the more ears, and like YouTube, you see these had 50 million plays on some obscure song that went worldwide. A lot of these guys, around that, what was that, Royals, that song Royals, that started out on YouTube. And it's 200 million plays later because people liked the song. They told the next person. That person told, one person could end up telling 200 people, and those 200 people and so on and all that. So it really comes down to.
You're not going to get, if you're an artist starting out, even if you get, 1 million, 2 million, 50 million YouTube views, that's great. But that's not paying your rent or your car bills. You got to get out there and get to the show so everyone can come buy your tickets, buy your T-shirts, and really get involved. And let me ask you this, Don, because this is one thing that I've been saying for a while, and I'd be interested to get your opinion on this. But social media has been so saturated for such a long time. Going back, 20 years when MySpace and all that got started, artists were literally getting major label record deals just off of the amount of downloads, plays, exposure on this kind of thing. Now that's extraordinarily laughable. So it seems to me that as social media exposure has gone through the roof, people feel, I think, very disconnected. And I think that people in general are hungry for a very positive social experience, being physically in the same room with other people, with loud guitars, loud drums, with all people towards the stage. Do you think that that's something that people want now more than ever? Oh, yeah. We go out, and we've had people come up, and it's kind of funny. They say, well, I can't believe you. I've joked about this with all these other groups that are still around, Fix and REO Speedwagon, ZZ Top. They're still around. We're all out there touring, and they get the same thing. People say, I can't believe you guys actually play your instruments and sing. There's no tracking and all that going. Well, that's what we were supposed to do. That's what we learned your job back then. And don't rely on machines because you might have a glitch. You might be in trouble then. But I was at one of your shows with somebody, and I heard somebody right next to me remark, my goodness, he sounds just like the record. And I kind of leaned over and said, they actually had to sing on the record, right? There wasn't actually auto-tune. It was like you actually had to be a performer. You can't be like me where you can just tweak a little thing here or there and not sound so bad.
Well, that's it. That's what we tried to discover, or try to find a sound that worked. And I'm lucky to have an identifiable sound. People said from the first few chords and vocals, we can tell that's 38 Special on the radio, whatever. And I'm very fortunate to have that. I don't take it lightly. It's very humbling. But, these days, just back to your other question about how artists set themselves up these days. Now, you talk about distribution deals. You can get your own distribution deal. You can get your own publicist. All these things that record companies used to provide. They say, we have a publicity department. Yeah, talk to Bob so-and-so, and he'll take care of your interviews and your, get you on a spot here or there. But now you can hire your own publicist. Red Distribution does our publishing. They're worldwide. Sony uses them. So you tap into somebody that they'll take a small fee to distribute your record, and they'll put it in the stores just as much as Sony Records would do. The Sony Records might get the end caps in stores with big displays, but they'll put your record in there because you're paying for their service at the same time. So there are avenues to utilize at the same time. Utilize online, exposure, YouTube, streaming services, those kind of things. iTunes, you can get iTunes contracts without having a record deal.
And now tapping into those networks that you're talking about might seem daunting to somebody who's just getting started maybe in their first 1 to 5 years. And we're going to delve into that ad nauseum on later shows and give these guys a roadmap as to how to get there to what you're talking about. In a more general sense, I want to dial it back with a couple of final thoughts. So you've been talking a lot about the adversity, overcoming that, persevering, and basically just going at it until you get what you want. What would you say are the 1 or 2 key traits that an artist should have whenever they're trying to get to the next level, no matter what it is, whether they're trying to just get 10 gigs a month or they're trying to be the next big rock star?
Well, first of all, you have to be the whole package. You got to have a group. If you're a group, you've got to have guys that can be a people person. They can have a good personality. They can get along with each other. I've been through a lot of guys that just didn't have that. They were maybe talented, but they were only singular in that. They didn't have that drive to share themselves and share their talent and let people help them, be open to those kind of things. So in that aspect, you've got to be the whole package. You can't be guy getting high over there and not being concerned about what the other group, the other 4 guys are thinking, whatever. You got to be all on the same page in that sense, and be able to.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just saying, just be able to push all the same direction, because if you've got any inner turmoil, you're better off replacing that guy and get somebody that will follow along and be part of the group. It's I've always said there can be an exceptional talent that's just being a real ass around other people. You're better off getting a guy that may be just a journeyman talent, but a good worker, good team guy, good team player. So you're better off that, because you're going to be miserable with the guy.
It's not always the best guy who gets the gig; it's the guy who shows up consistently, right?
Yeah. Right. And you got to be on time, get on, everybody knows you're on the same page. Yeah.
And that goes back to when you say the whole package. And I think now more than ever, what that means today, for those of you out there who are getting your started, or you're in your second or third record, you've been touring regionally, maybe even nationally, but you have to have the entire package, which means, record, video, the look, sounds, lighting if you need it, but every single part of your package, the marketing, every single thing that you present to the public has got to be the best it can be and better than anyone else out there. There's no room to kind of slough off and say, well, my song is great, so I don't have to care about, this photo shoot or this video shoot or whatever it is. Would you agree?
That's absolutely right. Yeah. We MTV was around back then. We definitely we were the 13th video played the first day of MTV. But we were nowhere near video ready. We had hair down our chest, all of us. We come from South, Florida, and but we muscled through that. But it was kind of comical when you see some of that stuff. It's like we didn't know that you're supposed to get everything together, be the whole package, the look and all that. Bon Jovi opened for us for about 2 months, and you're talking about somebody who was ready, video ready. They had the whole factors, every bit, the songs, the look, everything, and that's why they, right.
No, but I think that's a very important thing, and I'm glad that you brought that up. What would be we just got a couple of minutes left, but what would you say to someone who's just coming up? And I know it's very hard out there, but what's one thing that you would tell people to keep in mind when to keep going? What's one thing that you would impart on somebody to help them persevere?
Enjoy yourself. Enjoy doing what you're doing, because you get the joy, inner joy from it, because there's going to be so many attacks from all sides that will try to steal your spirit or crush your spirit or take it all away. It's just know in your heart that I like doing this. That I like putting that guitar in my hand or keyboard, whatever. It serves me. It makes me feel good about myself. Find the joy in that, and then everything else will follow. Everything will branch out from there. But if you're looking at it like, it's a grind, and is this really worth it? No, oh my God, I don't know what did I get myself into. But have fun doing it. There were times we were playing arenas and we weren't allowed to really enjoy it because you're always looking down the road and how can you make it even bigger. And I tell people, if I had it all do over again, I would actually enjoy myself a little more, because for instance, we went to the record company A&M as our first gold album. Now, this is a trophy that I'd seen other artists that had their name, and Leonard Skinner had a few gold albums, whatever, and I'd see their name, I think, oh man, one day I want to see my name on a gold album. I want to have that benchmark, that milestone. And so we, again, 4 albums later, all the struggle, all the suffering, they had on the easels out, and it was a little presentation outside of A&M Records, and they had brown paper on each one of them. And all our guys and everybody's hanging out, trying to have fun and all that. And man, I tore that paper off, and it was very emotional to me, because it was something that represented a lifetime of effort, a lifetime of mistakes and tripping over myself and trying to correct it and all that. And so that's the thing, is that and what did my manager pass around buttons? Gold ain't enough. That was what he passed around to all the record company people. Don't give up here. Gold ain't enough. We want platinum. We want more and more. So that was what a manager does. It pushes you to always reach further, because this is not going to be enough, But to me, it was enough at the moment. But anyway, find yourself, find the joy and the happiness of doing it.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really important thing. I think that's a good note to kind of wrap up the show on, just simply because, again, just my own experience touring, and we never had the success of you guys, so we don't know what it's like to be in the real big leagues with the big dogs. But what I can say is, yeah, absolutely enjoying those moments when you can is key, because we'd go for months and months and months playing to bartenders and 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people, whatever. But you'd be grinding it out for 36 hours. You get to the show, you set up, you do your thing. You haven't eaten in 2 days. You have nowhere to sleep. You haven't showered. But that 1 hour stage made that entire thing worthwhile.
Yeah.
It did.
And music is a magnet. Music is a magnet. It'll draw people around you. You'll meet people, and you'll get compliments and all that. So it's a great job to bring that kind of joy to people. So enjoy doing something like that.
Absolutely. Don Barnes from 38 Special. We are so excited. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Really, really appreciate it. That's going to do it for today. We will see you guys next Tuesday.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.